Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today. A man can flirt. A man can chase. A man can sweet talk his way into your time, your heart, and even your future. But when a man is serious, especially about an older woman, he moves different. He acts different. He doesn't just come with compliments. He comes with clarity. A serious man approaches with clarity, not confusion. When a man is truly interested in an older woman, he doesn't play the usual games or bring vague intentions. He's been through enough to understand that time is precious, and he's not going to waste it, yours or his. So when he shows up, he comes with purpose. He doesn't leave her guessing what he's thinking, where it's going, or what he wants. He lays it out plain and clear. His communication is direct, respectful, and consistent. There's no disappearing acts, no breadcrumbing, no late night texts just to keep her hanging. A man who is serious understands that uncertainty is not romantic. It's exhausting. And he knows that a woman who's grown, experienced, and rooted in her self-worth is not going to entertain someone who thrives on confusion. That kind of man knows clarity is a form of respect. He doesn't come and try to impress her with big words and shallow gestures. Instead, he makes his intentions known through consistent actions and honest dialogue. He'll tell her what he's looking for, what he values in a partner, and how he sees the future. He'll ask her what matters to her, what she expects, and what kind of relationship she's building. He makes sure they are walking in the same direction, not because he's trying to rush, but because he's trying to build something meaningful from the start. He's not afraid of serious conversations early on because he's not interested in temporary connections. This kind of man knows that mixed signals are a reflection of emotional immaturity. He's outgrown that phase where he had to pretend to be unavailable to seem desirable. He knows that if he wants an older woman who's emotionally mature and self-aware, he has to match that same level of maturity. He shows up fully present, and he's clear about where he stands and where he wants to go. He's not intimidated by her clarity either. In fact, it draws him in. It gives him something solid to hold on to, something real to work with. He appreciates that she knows who she is and what she wants because it gives their connection depth and direction. When a man is serious, he doesn't act mysterious to keep her chasing him. He gives her the peace of mind that comes from knowing she doesn't have to decode his behavior. She doesn't have to wonder what it means when he goes silent or overanalyze a text message. She knows because he tells her. He calls when he says he will. He shows up when he says he's coming. He follows through, not just because he wants her, but because he respects her. Clarity becomes his love language, and through that, he communicates his seriousness without needing grand gestures or dramatic declarations. He values experience over appearance. When a man is serious about an older woman, his focus shifts from the superficial to the substantial. He's not merely drawn by beauty, though he may admire it. What pulls him in deeper is the wisdom in her words, the strength in her presence, and the calm confidence she carries. He sees her as someone who has lived, loved, lost, learned, and still stands tall. That kind of experience carries a different energy, one that can't be faked or replicated. It's not just how she looks in a dress. It's how she walks into a room like she owns her space. That kind of presence doesn't come from youth. It comes from having lived through enough to know who she is and what she deserves. This man doesn't seek perfection. He seeks depth. He's interested in the conversations that go beyond surface level flirtation. He listens to the stories she shares about her journey, the lessons she's learned, and the standards she now holds. Instead of being intimidated by her past, he's fascinated by it. He respects the way she's turned pain into power, setbacks into comebacks, and silence into wisdom. He knows that kind of experience creates a woman who doesn't settle for less, and that makes her more desirable, not less. He values the way she carries herself. There's a level of maturity in her energy that he craves. She doesn't chase attention, and that makes her more magnetic. She's not trying to prove anything or outshine anyone. She just shows up fully as herself. Her confidence is not loud, but it's firm. Her independence is not an act, but a lifestyle. She knows how to take care of herself, and that makes him want to be the man who adds to her life, not distracts from it. This man knows that appearance fades, but character doesn't. He's looking for someone who can hold a conversation, make him think, challenge his mindset, and nurture his spirit. The way she handles conflict, the way she sets boundaries, the way she protects her peace. All of these things matter to him more than how many likes she gets on a photo. Her emotional intelligence is attractive. Her resilience is beautiful. Her ability to love without losing herself is what stands out most. He doesn't want a woman who needs to be taught how to love. He wants a woman who's already learned to love herself. And that kind of self-love only comes from experience. He respects her scars because they tell stories of survival. He honors her standards because he knows she didn't create them overnight. He values her truth because she's earned it the hard way. While some may chase youth for excitement, he chooses maturity for stability. He chooses the kind of woman who has lived enough life to know how to live well, love better, and let go of what doesn't serve her. He asks how to support her emotionally and mentally. A man who is serious about an older woman understands love is not just about presence, it's about participation. He doesn't assume he knows what she needs. He asks, he engages. He leans in with curiosity instead of ego. He wants to understand what brings her comfort, what gives her strength, and what weighs on her heart. He's not there to guess his way through the relationship. He wants to be intentional in how he shows up for her. That starts with understanding how she thinks, how she feels, and what truly makes her feel safe. He doesn't expect her to be the strong one all the time. He knows she's capable, but he also sees the parts of her that are tired, that have carried too much for too long, that have learned to suffer silently because easier than explaining everything. So he creates a space where she doesn't have to pretend she's always okay. He gives her room to breathe, to rest, to feel without judgment. He reminds her that she doesn't have to be everything for everyone, not with him. He wants to be a soft place for her to land, not another weight for her to carry. This kind of man listens when she speaks about her past, not to find fault, but to understand the walls she's built. He knows that emotional support about fixing her, it's about standing beside her as she heals, grows, and evolves. He doesn't tell her to get over it or move on when she opens up about things that still hurt. He listens deeply, validates her feelings, and asks how he can be part of her healing rather than a source of more hurt. He makes sure she knows she's not alone in her struggles. Mentally, he stimulates her. He talks to her with respect, with depth, with presence. He doesn't just talk about himself or surface level things. He asks about her dreams, her passions, her goals. He checks in when he senses something's off, and not just with a casual cue okay. He asks with the intent to hear the truth and help carry the weight if needed. He knows that mental connection is just as important as physical attraction, and he works to keep their conversations meaningful. He supports her emotionally by being steady. He's not hot one day and cold the next. He's not loving when it's easy and distant when it's not. He shows up consistently, creating a sense of safety that allows her to relax into the relationship. She doesn't have to wonder if he's going to disappear when things get hard. He proves over time that he's reliable, grounded, and emotionally available. He reassures her not with grand speeches, but with small, consistent actions that say, I'm here and I care. His goal is not to impress her with what he can buy or what he knows. His goal is to support her with his presence, his empathy, and his willingness to understand what she needs and how she feels without making it about himself. He respects her time, peace, and boundaries. A man who is serious about an older woman understands that her life is not built around waiting for someone to figure things out. She's already worked hard to establish stability, created a rhythm that brings her peace, and drawn clear lines that protect her energy. He knows he can't come in disrupting that just because he wants her attention. He approaches her life with a sense of reverence, knowing that her time is valuable, her peace is hard-earned, and her boundaries are not negotiable. He doesn't just show interest in her. He shows respect for the space she's created for herself. This kind of man doesn't make last-minute plans or expect her to drop everything for him. He plans ahead, he communicates early, and he honors commitments. He's not texting her at midnight hoping she'll respond. He's calling at appropriate times and setting real dates. He values punctuality and follow through because he knows that inconsistency is the quickest way to get left behind. Her time is not something he feels entitled to. It's something he earns by showing he values it. He also understands that peace is a currency. And if she has it, he's not about to come in like cows. He doesn't start unnecessary drama, bring emotional baggage, or operate with unpredictable moods. He's not here to disturb her balance, he's here to add to it. That means being emotionally available, mentally steady, and spiritually aligned. He pays attention to how she responds to energy. If she pulls back when things get tense, he learns to approach her calmly, not with pressure. If she values solitude, he doesn't take it personally. He sees it as part of what makes her strong and centered. When it comes to boundaries, he doesn't just hear them. He honors them. He doesn't try to test her limits or manipulate her standards. He accepts that she has them for a reason, and instead of feeling threatened by her strength, he feels challenged to rise to it. If she says no, he doesn't push for a yes. If she needs space, he doesn't chase. He gives it because he understands that real connection requires force. Her boundaries are not walls. They are doors with keys she chooses to give only to those who show they are worthy. He never makes her feel guilty for having a life outside of him. He encourages her passions, supports her goals, and respects the relationship she already has. He's not trying to dominate her world. He's trying to fit into it with grace. His goal is not to change her routine, but to add value to it. He brings calm instead of chaos, solutions instead of problems, consistency instead of confusion. He understands that love without respect is just noise, and he's not interested in making noise. He's interested in making room in her life where trust, ease, and mutual respect can grow. He doesn't try to change her. He tries to grow with her. A man who is truly serious about an older woman recognizes that she comes with her own identity, values, lifestyle, and rhythm. He understands that she is not a project to be fixed, molded, or adjusted to fit someone else's preference. She is a whole person, already complete in herself, and that completeness is what draws him in. He's not looking to reshape her into someone she used to be or someone that fits his comfort zone. Instead, he wants to evolve alongside her. He wants to learn from her, be inspired by her, and grow with her in ways that deepen both of their lives. This kind of man is not intimidated by the fact that she has her own opinions, that she makes decisions without hesitation, or that she has carved her own path. He sees her independence as a gift, not a threat. He knows that trying to change her would only distance her. So he aligns with her, not by giving up his identity, but by meeting her at her level. He listens more than he instructs. He understands that partnership isn't about one person leading while the other follows. It's about two people walking in stride, learning from each other and becoming better versions of themselves together. Growth to him means evolving emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. He pays attention to the way she handles conflict, the way she navigates her life, the way she maintains her dignity in difficult situations. Rather than criticizing or trying to control that, he reflects on it. He starts to think about how he can be more grounded, more understanding, more emotionally mature. Her presence makes him want to grow, not because she demands it, but because she inspires it. That's the kind of influence a strong, experienced woman has on a man who's truly ready. He doesn't feel the need to adjust her to fit a fantasy or a past version of love he once knew. He accepts her for who she is, where she is, and how she is. He doesn't try to strip away her layers or erase her history. He sees her past as a testament to her strength and wisdom. And instead of reshaping her, he asks himself how he can support her journey and expand his own at the same time. When disagreements happen, he doesn't see them as threats to the relationship. He sees them as opportunities to understand her better. He doesn't demand submission or silence. He values her voice and her thoughts. And as they navigate challenges, he adapts, not to gain control, but to become more capable of loving her well. For him, growth isn't about changing her. It's about becoming the kind of man who can walk beside her without dragging her down or holding her back. He embraces who she is, and through that acceptance, he transforms into someone who matches her strength, her pace, and her purpose. He seeks partnership, not control or validation. When a man is serious about an older woman, he's not looking for someone to boost his ego or fill a void inside him. He's not chasing attention, and he's not out to impress just for the sake of being noticed. He's looking for someone who can walk beside him, not behind him. He's not interested in playing the dominant role just to feel powerful. He's interested in building something meaningful where both voices matter and both people thrive. He sees the relationship as a team, not a hierarchy, and he knows that partnership requires balance, mutual respect, and shared responsibility. This kind of man doesn't need a woman to validate his manhood. He's already done the inner work to know who he is and what he stands for. He's not looking for a mother to guide him or a fan to praise him. He's looking for an equal who challenges him, sharpens him, and walks through life with him. He wants someone who brings her own wisdom, experience, and opinions to the table. And when she does, he listens. He doesn't feel threatened by her strength or her success. He celebrates it. Control is not in his vocabulary when it comes to love. He doesn't dictate how she dresses, who she sees, or how she lives her life. He respects that she had a full identity before he came along, and he's not trying to shrink that to make room for himself. Instead, he learns how to compliment her without trying to contain her. He creates space for her to be exactly who she is, and in doing so, builds a relationship where trust replaces fear, and freedom fuels connection. Partnership to him means showing up consistently and giving without keeping score. It means investing time, effort, and emotion into the relationship, not because he's trying to earn something, but because he genuinely wants to build something lasting. He doesn't measure his worth by how much control he has in the relationship. He measures it by how much he contributes to her peace, her joy, and her growth. He sees success not in how much he leads, but in how well they move forward together. He values shared decisions, shared dreams, and shared accountability. He knows that partnership isn't always 50-50. It's about balance. And sometimes one gives more while the other heals. Sometimes one leads while the other supports. But through it all, they stay aligned because the goal is never about power. It's about progress. He shows up for the hard conversations, the compromises, the emotional labor. He's not there for convenience. He's there for commitment. A serious man with a grown woman isn't looking to possess her. He's looking to walk with her. He's not trying to impress her with control. He's trying to prove himself with consistency. He doesn't need her to complete him. He needs her to join him because he knows that the kind of love worth having isn't about who's in charge. It's about who's all in. He views her standards as a roadmap, not a challenge. When a man is truly serious about an older woman, he doesn't get defensive when she communicates her expectations. He listens. He understands that her standards are not there to push him away. They're there to guide him. She's not being difficult or demanding. She's being clear. She's not testing him. She's showing him how to love her correctly. And the man who is mature and intentional doesn't see those standards as barriers. He sees them as direction. He recognizes that a woman who has lived through enough knows what works and what doesn't. Her boundaries are rooted in experience. Her values are shaped by growth. And her time is guarded because she's no longer interested in temporary distractions. Instead of trying to negotiate with her standards or convince her to lower them, he respects them as a reflection of her self-worth. He knows they were not created out of pride. They were built through lessons. Every boundary she sets, every non-negotiable she speaks of, tells a story of what she's learned to protect after being taken for granted, misunderstood, or undervalued. He doesn't roll his eyes when she says she needs consistency. He doesn't laugh when she tells him she's not into casual situations. He doesn't get uncomfortable when she says she's not available for someone who doesn't communicate, show up, or put in effort. In fact, he appreciates the clarity. Her standards remove the guessing, the assumptions, the confusion. They give him something to aim for, not because she's asking for perfection, but because she's showing him the path to her trust. This man knows that love without direction leads to disappointment. So when she tells him how she needs to be treated, how she needs to be spoken to, how she expects to be supported, he pays attention. He takes notes. He adapts, not to manipulate, but to align. Because he knows that a woman who knows herself doesn't just need love. She needs the kind of love that honors who she is. Her standards are not tests. They are tools. They are not obstacles. They are opportunities to show her he's serious. And because he's not intimidated by her strength, he doesn't mistake her clarity for coldness. He knows she's not trying to be hard. She's trying to be understood. She's spent enough time compromising, bending, and explaining herself in the past. Now, she wants a man who hears her the first time, respects her voice, and honors her truth. So instead of reacting with ego, he responds with effort. He doesn't look for loopholes. He looks for alignment. He doesn't try to change her mind. He changes his approach. He understands that her standards are not walls to climb over. They're doors that open when trust is earned. He knows that if he wants to be in her life, he has to move with intention, show up with honesty, and prove with consistency that he's not here to test her limits. He's here to meet her where she stands. He communicates with intention, not impulse. When a man is serious about an older woman, he understands that words carry weight. He doesn't speak just to fill the silence or impress in the moment. He speaks to connect, to reassure, to build something solid. He doesn't rely on charm or sweet talk to keep her interested. He uses communication as a tool for clarity and emotional safety. He doesn't leave her guessing. He doesn't disappear after saying something meaningful. He follows up, he explains, he shares, not just his plans, but his feelings, his struggles, and his thoughts about the future. He knows that communication isn't just about saying the right thing, it's about saying the real thing. With an older woman, he knows he's not dealing with someone who gets impressed by hollow promises or vague talk. She's heard it all before. She's been through the phases of figuring out what someone really meant by what they said. So now she listens for truth. She pays attention to how his words align with his actions. A serious man gets that. That's why he doesn't make empty statements. He backs everything with clarity and consistency. If he says he cares, he shows it. If he says he's serious, he proves it. His words are not tools for manipulation. They're expressions of genuine intention. He also listens with care. Communication isn't just about speaking. It's about hearing her without defensiveness. When she tells him how she feels, what bothers her, or what she needs, he doesn't shut down. He doesn't take it personally. He understands that feedback isn't an attack. It's an invitation to go deeper. He doesn't listen just to respond. He listens to understand. He gives her space to express herself fully without interrupting or redirecting the conversation to serve his comfort. He understands that emotional maturity shows up in how well you can sit in uncomfortable conversations and still remain respectful and open. He also knows timing matters. He doesn't unload his emotions in the heat of the moment. He doesn't weaponize silence or use distance as punishment. He speaks when the time is right, and he chooses his words with care. He understands that thoughtful communication is part of building trust. He knows she won't chase answers or beg for clarity, so he offers them freely. He doesn't see vulnerability as weakness. In fact, when he's serious, he embraces it. He'll tell her when he's afraid, when he's unsure, when he needs support, and when he just wants to be close. A man who communicates with intention sets the tone for emotional safety. She doesn't have to overthink every interaction, rewrite every message, or walk on eggshells around him. He makes her feel seen, heard, and understood because he values her peace of mind. He doesn't just talk to keep her interested. He speaks to keep her informed, aligned, and emotionally connected. And because of that, their connection deepens beyond surface level attraction. It becomes rooted in trust, understanding, and mutual respect.